Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's only an impromptu BBC Spews. Huzzah! What's the date? It's the 26th. I've got in fact, I'm going to set an alarm because I'm bound to be late. I've got to do a few interviews today, so let me just set an alarm so I don't miss this. But the thing is, I just made a video and a lot of the people viewing it pointed out that I'd missed a lot of important details, which is 3 big crimes that have gone off in the last 24 hours that I didn't include on my video. And old Nigel's getting a bit more feisty in response to the public, because he's not an idiot, is he? In response to the general public being very annoyed. There we go, I've got 20 minutes. You can have Bosh, go. So, here we go. Nigel, I told you, right? I know this has been something I've disagreed with many of my viewers and most of the online right at this point about, which is pointing out that I will never make a video slagging off old Frogface, and I'm definitely going to pump reform until there's a viable opposition, because as I keep telling you lot, at the end of the day, Homeland's a joke. UKIP's got no support. We have to hope that Farage is much more right-wing than he claims to be, which would align with his behaviour for the last 30 years. And he's just playing that game. Whenever they try and get him with a gotcha question, he goes, oh, we're not going to deport anyone. No, we love him. And secretly, I think he's like, nah, well, we'll get shot of him. I'm hoping he's a genius and he's played the long game. And that's how he's got this, the media's willing to cover him. Because the system's been stitched up to such a degree that if you haven't got the mainstream media's blessing, you can't win. You can't win. The online right makes about 10% of society. So basically, we've got no chance. If the mainstream media's not on board, we've got no chance. If UKIP or Forward or any of the other startups get into double digits before the next election, then fair enough, we'll promote them. But I'm not going to do what Carl Benjamin's been doing and spend all my time making videos slagging off the only credible alternative to Labour and the Conservatives as it currently stands, when I could be making videos slagging off people that do things like, which one should we start with? This one? Someone just sent me this in response to my last video. I forgot about it. Teen girl murdered by asylum seeker while calling cops to report she was being followed triggered furious protests. Of course it did, yeah. Weird that, innit? Weird people are angry about teenage girls getting murdered by swarthy diddlers from third world countries. I mean, why ever would that bother you? A 17-year-old girl stabbed to death while calling the police to say she was being followed. It's unbelievable. How is the mainstream media... I don't understand how Broadcasting House is still standing. I honestly don't. Not after all what's come out in the last few years. I cannot believe an angry mob hasn't got together and, pulled it apart brick by brick. Like I said, to me, we should bulldoze Broadcasting House, salt the earth, build a car park on it and pretend the BBC never existed. That's how embarrassed I am about it. It used to be a great thing, the BBC, didn't it? It was like an institution. Ooh, Planet Earth and Attenborough and all these great shows they gave us when the world was sane in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And now it turns out it's just a nest of diddlers who cover for diddlers. It's embarrassing. They helped foreign men finger, looking at the latest numbers, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 kids. Does anybody know the real number? And then covered it all up. It's a crazy time to be alive. So yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by the BBC. Matt, you need to have a word with Leo Curson teaching that Marines are not the army. The thing is, Leo only recently unblocked me. I'm hoping I disagreed with him once and called him a frisk, but he was a bit too quick with the ban button because he has unblocked me. So at least we're on speaking terms now. But I don't know him. I've never really talked to him. It's not the end of the world, is it? Not the end of the world. It is kind of daft, that, though. I think even when I was a civvy, I knew Marines weren't in the army. But who knows? Who knows? So there's a good one that I missed off my last... I should have added that to the news roundup. An innocent young girl done in as usual by Mighty Moore, or I mean, 9 out of 10 of them are called Moore. If not that, it's like Iqbal Sadiq, or for some reason they've all got 12 names. Bit weird. The other one I missed. Here's another one. Breaking news from the current bun. Tower attack. Woman gets the good news at the Eiffel Tower after being dragged into the bushes near the iconic landmark as a Libyan teen is arrested. Brilliant. See, the Sun reports the news. The BBC would say something like, woman enjoys picturesque view of the Eiffel Tower while getting back scuttled by a Libyan. So, the Sun is unbelievable. Unbelievable. At least they'll tell you what's going on. All the Scousers boycott the Sun. At least they use cool words like predator. They love that, don't they? Lair. Have you noticed whenever the Sun's talking about a villain, they don't live in a house, they live in a lair? One of my favourite headlines was about a woman that was caught, prosecuted for beating the kids. And the headline said, the fat bully, which I thought was amazing. I was like, the fat bully, 27. It's amazing. So the Sun's sound. No need in boycotting the Sun. At least they're talking about this stuff. The BBC won't. BBC aren't interested. BBC want to do story. Anyway, I'll quickly read this before I cut to the BBC. Tower attack woman got the good news at the Eiffel Tower. Obviously, it was a foreigner. Obviously, it was from Libya, which, incidentally, if you don't know, is the same country that spawned the Manchester bomber. Hey, so there's a happy coincidence. We're all getting enriched by the Libyans. Our French brothers and sisters are enjoying the hospitality of the Libyan people just as much as we are. So that's amazing, isn't it? Love that. Let's change the background. Bam, because we've got the BBC now. Now, first thing I want to tell you about this is the BBC changed the headline because I jumped on this straight away when I seen it on Twitter. They've reported it thusly. It was a big headline and then they've changed it, but it's obviously still in the cookies for the website because they reported it on Twitter. Nigel Farage says illegal migration is a scourge. And then everyone started giving them pure, premium, AAA, neat shit on Twitter, and they backed off and changed the headline. So now when you click it, you get reform prepared to deport, because they were doing that thing, scourge. It is a scourge. It is a scourge. Listen, I don't know how else to put this. I couldn't know how to make it any clearer. If, as Rupert Laws just suggested in his latest release of data regarding the double G, I don't even keep saying the word, it is around here. The double G, we'll just say it's the gangs that engage in, it rhymes with rooming, yeah? The double G is way worse than anybody thinks. They reckon it's at least 250,000 now. Turns out we were lowballing it. I've been saying 100,000 innocent kids getting diddled and occasionally done in by Libyans and predominantly Puma trackies, but it turns out we were lowballing the figure. Turns out it's looking like it's going to be more like 250, 350, 500,000. Who knows? Who knows? Because as we all know, the class society that is the UK, and this is the only one thing where I'll sound like Owen Jones, but it's true, the UK is a class society. The United States is a country of immigrants. The UK isn't. And the United States does work by merit still. Barry Obama would have never got near the 10 Downing Street if he was bog standard sort of lower middle class lad in England, because every prime minister in the UK is a wanker who went to a school for wankers. So that's different. But it's ludicrous to me to suggest that we should be getting angry about words like scourge when at least 250,000 innocent children have had the back doors caved in by Libyans and Puma trackies and Bangladeshis and Iranians and Iraqis and Afghans, and the list goes on. But the simple fact is none of them hail from England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Northern Ireland, or even our more slightly distant relatives like the Froggies or our chums in the Scandi countries or the Cloggies. No, the problem is entirely outside of Europe. I'll tell you what is good about it, though. I almost like the French now. I mean, I never saw that coming. It's definitely... if I was to rank countries by how much I liked them, I've always talked about this. New viewers might not have seen it because I think I've said it for a couple of years, but the standard reaction of the online right is the natural human response. The sociopaths on the left, the globalist psychopaths, they think the human is infinitely malleable and you can just make things up as you go along and you can just pull it out your arse and say, oh yeah, man's a woman, woman's a man. Yeah, you can just choose your sexuality on a whim instead of it being hard-baked into you, which is mental because it's again, the same argument that the Baptist preachers used to use 30 years ago. I suppose it makes sense because essentially the woke act like a religious cult, like they're a bunch of lunatics who all believe the same thing and follow the cult leaders around parroting what they say all the time. So I suppose it's not that weird, but they're now back to the creationist Baptist theory that you just choose it on a whim. I didn't get forced into tits when I was 13 and all of a sudden I went, I quite like looking at them. No, apparently we're infinitely malleable in the postmodernist hellhole. You can just flip a coin. One day you're into tits. Bing, oh, I'm into cock now. Love it, can't get enough. Delicious, tasty cock. Apparently that's the way we're all wired if you're a postmodernist sociopath. So this is the world we're living in. It's mental. And they think that the perfectly normal human response, which is to care about your tribe, and again, this radiates outwards. Anyone with a hole in their arse knows this is deterministic by our long human evolution. You care about your tribe, and then you care about slightly further out tribe, and then you care about your slightly further out tribe. And you all know this is true on a miniature scale, right? You love your family, you love your kids and your wife and your uncles and your aunts and your brothers and sisters. And then you love your best friends and your neighbours and the people who live in your town. And then you love people slightly further out. Like, I obviously prefer people from Yorkshire than I do to Cockneys. And then I'll move further out and I care about my country, England. And then I'll move further out and yes, controversial as it may sound, I do much prefer the Welsh, the Scottish, the Irish and the Northern Irish to the dirty frogs and the foul-smelling Italians who eat garlic in bed, still dressed, all right? And then, bless them, I have got a bit of a soft spot for the Italians and the frogs and the Scandis if I'm comparing them to the Libyan bloke who just blew himself up at a pop concert. And then it goes further out and I go to, people that I'm slightly less related to. Like, I suppose I like the Mexicans, they're mixed with the Spanish and, they're a lot more European than, I don't know, the Ugandans. And then it goes out. And all of that is perfectly understandable and normal to anyone who isn't a postmodernist sociopath, isn't it? You can't just flip a coin. Like, if they were like, okay, we're going to feed your kids or we're going to feed random kids from a continent you've never been to, which would we choose? You go, my kids. They'd go, oh, and actually, Kant wrote about this once. Let me quote Emmanuel. He'll know something interesting. Oh, yes, but according to the writings of Philippe, no, you're just gibberish, bollocks. Try to make yourself sound clever and make me think you can make me believe up is down and left is right and the grass is blue and the sky is green because you're psychopaths and you think the general public is stupid. That's what the problem is. So these same people who'll tell you up is down and left is right, I'll tell you, the real problem here isn't let me just quickly blast through them, the lass getting rogered at the Eiffel Tower. And the problem isn't the asylum seeker murdering the innocent girl. The problem isn't the massive gang of dinghy divers who just rock up and they all look like that. I mean, they all look like that. Why is my picture knackered? It doesn't like it. They all look like that. Would you trust him with the kids? If everything's infinitely malleable and you were a middle-class Guardian reader, call them on their bullshit. They don't believe it themselves. If they had a family emergency come up and they had to leave the kids on a Saturday night, and the choice was 17-year-old girl from Yorkshire or this fella in a vest, would they go, actually, everything is subjective if you go with the writings of Kant? No, they wouldn't say that. They'd go, whoa, hang on a sec. I'm not leaving the kids with a hairy geezer, a hairy, scary, beardy weirdy who just rocked up on a boat 10 minutes ago. They don't believe the shit they spout. That's what I keep telling you. They don't believe a word of it. Someone loves bacon and sent me £2. Rest assured, I will spend that on pepper armies. In fact, I'm so aggressive now with the invaders. I'm going to buy some dog toothpaste with it. Yeah, I'm going to brush my teeth with meat juice and bone marrow. That's what I've had. I've had enough. So yeah, they don't believe this shit themselves. And now they want to tell you that the problem is the scourge, the real scourge, is worrying about people coming over illegally. And Nigel has finally found his nutsack and said, hey, we'll deport 600,000. Get in. Get in. It's a start, isn't it? Oh, ye of little faith. I told you, Farage is a smooth operator. He knows that you've got to keep the mainstream media on side. Played the long game. He's definitely more right-wing than he pretends to be. He pretends to be like David Cameron. He's not. There's no way. And if he is, we'll hold his feet to the flames. If he ends up the PM and all of a sudden he goes, we're not going to deport 600,000 people, well then an angry mob can turn up at Downing Street. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. I honestly don't think he's anywhere. As I said, all the online right disagree with me here because Farage never talks as aggressively as we think he needs to. But I'm confident that he will be far better than any of the other alternatives. And if someone who actually seems to be right-wing starts getting more than about 20% of the vote, well, then I'll change my mind, is the point I'm making. Because again, I can see you're all dripping in the comments. This isn't new. I've been saying this for about 2 years, and you lot have been dripping about it for 2 years. So again, I'll change my mind if we get a credible alternative. But in the meantime, pulling him down when you can spend your time making content about the commies or the diddlers or the Libyans or the Pumas or the Bangladeshis or anything else or Starmer. Sorry, where is it? Or Starmer.
Gay!
It's pointless and self-defeating, massively. I can't believe the amount of time apparent right-wingers and conservatives spend slagging off Farage. Make content slagging off the left, right? And if he turns out to be a rat, well, we'll worry about that when we get to it. But you can't tell me with a straight face, the bloke who's going on there and the BBC are having a pop at because he's talking about a scourge and he's talking about deporting 600,000 people. You can't tell me it's a better use of my time to not make videos like I did today about Rupert Lowe dropping a truth bomb with these hundreds of thousands of diddlers. No, you can't tell me that I'm better spending my time slagging off old Frogface all day because I'm not on board with it, and I don't care if 50% of you disagree with me. If you can't tell, I'm quite strident. I could argue with anyone. I could piss Jesus off. I'd make Mother Teresa want to claw my balls off. So I'll argue with anyone. I don't care. Have you seen the new Kang of Scotland boot? I haven't. I did see a wonderful. What was that? In fact, can I cover it before I leave? How long have I got? 5 minutes. I did see a wonderful clip of the BBC. There, look, an Anglo-Saxon soldier. Look at this. Anglo-Saxon soldier in the Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings. That's not the Battle of Hastings. That's that episode of The Cosby Show where they visited the Renaissance Fair. That's what that is. Someone's just stuck the BBC watermark in the top corner. That's all that is. Thanks for the 20 nicker anyway, Muttley. I haven't seen a new Kang of Scotland. If you've quickly put a story in the comments, I'll have a look at it. Throw me a link. But other than that, I don't think I've got to look. Yeah, it's 11:30. I've got a boogie. My alarm's going to go off momentarily. Yeah, ladies and gents, so I just thought I'd quickly cover it. Forgot that one. I apologise. Forgot that one. I apologise. Definitely don't leave your kids with him. I apologise. There's that. And yeah, 600,000 at least. That number's creeping up. First he said it was impossible. Now he said 600,000. If I have my way, it'll be 6.2 million by this time next year. So we're on the right track, aren't we? We're on the right track. Okay, I'm going to have to boogie. That was me. Quick 21 minutes. You can have that for now. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for watching. Share my last video so everybody knows that we were lowballing the diddlers when we said it was only 100,000. And I'll see you all tomorrow. All right? Toodle pip. Cheers.